If it had a mind, you could reason with it. If it had a body, you could shoot it. If it had a heart, you could kill it. Now, man is no longer the supreme being on this planet.
The organism is growing at a geometric rate. By all accounts, it's at least 1,000 times its original mass.
Nobody believes me about what happened tonight.
What did happen?
You were there, you saw.
Plasmic life form that hunts its prey. Predator.
I want that organism alive.
I think you ticked it off.
The Blob. Terror has no shape.
Right, hey up, it's Steve from that old Yorkshire geek. Hope you can hear me. Welcome to Friday Night Appointment with Fear. Ow, I'm hurting myself. As you saw, oh craggy, as you saw, we're doing The Blob, the 1988 version, not the original 1958 version, which is a good film in itself. But I must admit, I do prefer the 1988 version because it's more gory. Anyway, Windgrace is here. Welcome to Windgrace. It's blobbing time. It certainly is. All right. By the way, before we start, don't forget, like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed already. We're live on YouTube. Just check. Yes, we're live on Rumble. Yes, we are. And we're live on Twitch. Yes, we're live on Twitch as well as. Right. So, hold on, let me just get rid of that. There we go. Put that up. Right, hang on. Just bear with me. Press wrong button. Why has that done that? I don't know. Back. Uh-oh. Hang on, there we go. Oh, unbelievable. Come back again. There we go. Archmage Frey says on Twitch, don't listen to Windgrace. They are mortal enemies, Archmage Frey and Windgrace, apparently. Where were we? We're live on all those three platforms. Later on, it'll be not live. It'll be uploaded to Spotify, Amazon Music Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hang on. Get me books. Links are in the description. Hang on. Move the DVD for next week's episode. Get that out of the way. I should have all this to hand, shouldn't I? I'm dead what's the word? Sorted outness. Right, anyway. My books, Silent Predator, a short horror novella about big cats and stuff, and Mercury Rapids, light-hearted sci-fi, action-adventure, light-hearted, is that what I said it? Light-hearted action-adventure. Anyway. So that's them. That's that out of the way. Windgrace says they are basically Lazarus from the original series, Star Trek, obviously. Yeah, I barely remember that episode. It's like a matter person and an antimatter person, isn't it? It's one of those episodes. It's that one, isn't it? Anyway. Right, what next? The Blob, yes, 1988. Obviously, a remake of the 1958 classic, directed by Chuck Russell, written by Chuck Russell and Frank Darabont. So it's got a great pedigree, although they were kind of newcomers at the time. I think this was Chuck Russell's second film. His first one being Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors. First big film. I presume he made other films before, little independent ones or whatever, or short films, I presume. But I think he was more of a producer before that. And what else? It made $10 million. No, its budget was $10 million, which were okay, I suppose, in 1988, particularly for a horror film. but it didn't do well at the box office because it wasn't properly advertised and marketed. It was released when TriStar, I can't remember the name of the production company. It was released when they were going through a change of hands, and the people who were buying it weren't interested in the Blob. So there is that. It stars Shawnee Smith, the lovely Shawnee Smith, who you may know from the Saw films, and she had a really small part in Armageddon. I've actually got Shawnee Smith's autograph, which I'll show you. There we go. There she is. Shawnee Smith's autograph. Didn't get it in person, unfortunately. Why is that doing that? It should be like that, shouldn't it? There we go. I didn't get it in person, unfortunately. But I got it a couple of years ago during the lockdowns that we all had to endure. A company called Showmasters, who do a lot of conventions over in the UK. They were doing like autograph auctions. So I got a lot of autographs that way, bidding for autographs. And I got Shawnee Smith's. I didn't pay the earth for it. I don't know what I paid. Probably about, I don't know, between 10 and 20 quid. But there we go. So there we go. So get rid of that. So I just thought I'd show you that. I can get rid of that as well. There we go. Right, so let's get on with the film, shall we? Yes, Shawnee Smith. Also stars Kevin Dillon, who is Matt Dillon's brother, I think. Yes. And it was Matt Dillon that were in, he's been in lots of stuff, but it were in There's Something About Mary. That was Matt Dillon, wasn't it? That wasn't Kevin Dillon. I get them mixed up. What else? What else can we say before we start? It's also got a lot of other famous people in that you might recognise, like Jeffrey DeMunn, who you might know from The Walking Dead and The Mist. Candy Clark, who I'm sure she's done a lot of stuff, but she'd be more famous to like genre fans for films like Q, the Winged Serpent, and Blue Thunder, and this. What else? Cinematography by Mark Irwin. I'm just reading the list on Wikipedia here. The music. What about the music? Music by Michael Hoenig. I think that's how I pronounce it. Hoenig. It's not that good, to be honest. It's good, but it's like cheap. It had a budget of $10 million, but yet they didn't splash out for like an orchestra. It all sounds very synthy. There's the music. But you can, it's on YouTube. If you type in the Blob soundtrack, it's there on YouTube. You can listen to it. And the end song at the end of the credits is a great 80s rock anthem called Brave New Love by Alien. So that's a cool thing you can listen to. That's also on YouTube if you want to have a look for that. Right. Is that it? Is that all I can think of? Windgrace is talking to me again. 333 subs. That's basically 666. Well, half of it, yeah. Yes, it's been stuck on that for about a week now. I think it's a week, nearly a week. What can I say? As I said, I think I've plateaued in my subs. But what the heck? What the heck? Right, let's get the film up. So, as usual, I'm not just going full screen on my thing. As usual, we're not going to just watch the film. We're going to go through it in a series of stills, and I'll try and give you some information. I've watched a making of before this, so I might have some other information as well as we carry on, if I can remember it. You know what I'm like, I don't take notes because I'm lazy, and I try to hope my memory holds out. And it generally doesn't. I generally forget things because I'm stupid and I should make notes. Anyway, all right, so let's get on with it. Right, off we go. There we go. Here comes the Winged Horse. There it is. One of my favourite 80s intros, or what they call it, in Ident, Studio Ident. There we go, TriStar. There we go, Chuck Russell film. He's done some other stuff. He did The Mask. What else has he done? I can't remember. I think he went on to do a lot of TV afterwards. We were quite big for a while. You're going to move. There we go. Kevin Dillon, and we've seen Shawnee Smith. There's the cast. Jeffrey DeMunn. Right, so we're going through the clouds and we're seeing the town of Arborville. We're actually filmed in a town called Abbeville. And they changed its name in the film for whatever reason to Arborville. It's a typical small American town. What's on at the pictures? Can we read it? I can't see what it says. The something. Don't know. Can't make it out. Can't make it out. No, it's not. The camera's not going to move and show us. There we go. Pre-ski sale. Oh, yes. We learn it's like a winter town. It must be some sort of skiing resort, and apparently they're fallen on hard times because it hasn't snowed a lot in the last few years. There you go. Think snow. But we never see any mountains. Well, I never notice any in this film. We see the woods, but I don't really notice any mountains, unless they're in the background. We're moving through the town. We're seeing how quiet it is. There's a reason it's quiet. Everybody's at the football game, as we'll see. As we'll see in a minute. There are some nice shots. By the way, the cinematography, what did I say it was? Mark Irwin. Well, the fella who did The Fly, the remake of The Fly, the David Cronenberg one. And many other David Cronenberg films. Right here we're seeing the football match. There we go. It's obviously a college game. So we're seeing that going on. And here we're introduced to Shawnee Smith. Look at her wiggling her things. Because she's a cheerleader. Obviously. And then we're also introduced to who we think is going to be the main character, and I can't remember his name because I'm stupid. Donovan Leitch Jr. as Paul Taylor. Donovan Leitch Jr. is the son of the famous 60s singer Donovan. So there we go. Another bit of useless information for you. Right. Off we go. So the football match is happening, and there we go. The cheerleaders are cheerleading. Everything's wonderful. He's going to be Meg. Shawnee Smith plays a character called Meg. He's playing a character called Paul. That chap next to him is his friend. He is called. Don't know. Scott. He's called Scott, played by Ricky Golding. He's kind of like the comedy relief and all that jazz. Right. So the game goes on. He wants to impress her, and there's the local priest. He has a part to play in the film. Played by a famous actor whose name I've forgotten. Oh dear. Del Close, that's the fella. Played by Del Close, who's been in a lot of stuff. Right, so they're getting back onto the pitch, saying they're 8:31, 9 1/4. Height. Rover sit. Of America, even those people outside America that play it. The game's overcomplicated. You do. Right, so he gets knocked on his bottom. He may have scored a touchdown, can't remember. But they all think he's injured. And then as he looks up, he sees Meg looking down at him and he says, "Do you want to go out with me?" And she says, she says yes, because later on we see them go out together. Right, so next up, I think this is where we meet Kevin Dillon. He's playing, can't remember the name of his character either. Brian, that's it, Brian Flagg. There he goes, drinking I presume it's a beer. He's going to jump over this bridge, or he thinks he is, on his motorbike. He's throwing his can. And he's a bit of a ne'er-do-well, but he's got a heart of gold. He's one of these characters who you think he's going to be a baddie, but he's not. He turns out to be the hero. Spoilers! Right, so I was going to get on his bike and he's going to jump over this broken bridge. I thought I'd wear my leather jacket, by the way, in honour of Brian Flagg. I haven't worn it for a while. It's been too warm, but it's a bit cooler today, so I thought I'll pop it on. Because this is supposed to be my appointment with Fear uniform. Right, so this is this old chap is watching as Brian is going to attempt this Evel Knievel style stunt. We meet him again in a bit. So off he goes. Back to the football match. That's either a massive golf tee or a vuvuzela. Remember them? They were all the rage at the South Africa World Cup. Soccer World Cup. It's either that or a massive, let's say, golf tee. Right, here he goes. Obviously had a drag on his cig, blowing the smoke out. There we go. Don't condone smoking. Don't smoke myself. I have done in the past. Used to. Gave it up a long time ago. Right, so off he goes. Broom, 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 broom. By the way, do you see mountains in the background then? Let's have another look. Go back again. Well, kind of. I wouldn't call it more hills, are there? They don't look like skiing mountains, do they? That we see in the background there. Right, so off he goes with the cheerleaders cheering him on. And he doesn't do it. He chickens out at the last minute. This is like equivalent to Arnold Schwarzenegger's horse in True Lies, where it stops before it gets to the edge of the building. His bike decided not to work. I think it started cutting out, and so he skids skids over the edge of the bridge, and his bike goes crashing down, and so does he. But it's just his pride's hurt, but his bike's a bit done in. The old fella claps him, laughs. I think he picks up a can because he collects aluminum cans. Aluminium. Off he goes. So anyway, then we go to the town. We're going to meet Jeffrey DeMunn's character. There he is in the diner, playing Sheriff somebody or other. Sheriff Herb Geller. Don't know if he's related to Uri Geller. Maybe he is. But he's got a thing for Candy Clark's character. There she is. Actually, was super attractive in this, does Candy Clark. Probably the best I've ever seen her in whatever she's been in my opinion. Maybe it's the blonde hair. I've usually seen her with dark hair in other films, but she's got blondish hair in this, and it suits her. Anyway, I think she's called Fran. There she is. I think she's the owner of the diner. We call them cafes over here, but you call them diners over there. Anyway, he's asking her out, but she says she gives him a note on the check saying, "I'm off at 11." So, but they're waiting for the crowd to come from the football game. So he departs with his check and a note that there you go, I'm off at 11. So he's got a date at 11 with Candy Clark. Brian has got a lift into town from somebody with a pickup truck. So he's okay. He has a little chat with the sheriff, or the sheriff has a little chat with him, saying he got a birthday coming up. Is it going to show us that he's having a cig? You've got a birthday coming up. That means, no more juvie hall, or whatever the hell they call it. If he gets into trouble, is, in the clink, in the big leagues. There he's looking. So obviously he's been in trouble before, but, he's not a particularly bad person. But, he's no angel. Anyway, so there we go. So he goes to Moss's garage, does Brian. And Moss is the local mechanic, and he asks if he can borrow some tools to go and mend his bike. And Moss says they've got a lot of work on, they've got stuff to fix, they've got a big snow machine to fix. This is Chekhov's snow machine, by the way. I don't mean Pavel Chekhov from Star Trek. I mean the author Chekhov. Whose first name I don't actually know. I bet Wyngrace does. Anyway, so He agrees to lend him his ratchet set so he can go and mend his bike as long as Brian will put in a few hours over the weekend. But we're shown the big snow machine. It's like a big truck. There we go, Snowmaker. Which, as I said, is Chekhov's Snowmaker. We see it again later. He's using it to keep his beer cool. Right. So anyway, they're having a little discourse. Then we cut to the old man who's crushing cans. There we go, with a frying pan strapped to his foot. Then he throws them in that big bin that you can just make out there. Maybe you can't, whatever. There we go, you can see it now. So obviously he takes them in and weighs them in for some extra cash, I presume. Right, so then we see this thing arrives, for some sort of meteorite. This kind of reminds me, this bit always reminds me of Creepshow, you know, the lonesome death of Geordie Verrill, which we covered a few weeks ago. Always reminds me of that. You can see, here it comes. Oh, whatever. Here it comes. There we go. Cool. By the way, the effects are pretty good in this film, and they do hold up for the most part. Although some dodgy compositive. Anton Chekhov, which is odd, because Anton Yelchin played Chekhov. Told you Wingray said no. Played Chekhov, and the son of Pavel in Picard was named Anton. Oh, yeah, I knew that. I was actually going to say Anton Chekhov, but I wasn't entirely sure, so I thought, I'll wait for Wingray to confirm it. Because he is all-knowing and all-seeing. Unlike that Archmage Frey bloke. Right, so this meteorite has crashed to the ground. But all is not what it seems with that meteorite. Hang on, we're not on turn. There we go. There it is. So he goes over to check it out with his dog. And then we're back at the town. There's a lot of flipping backwards and forwards, by the way. It's actually quite well edited. You know, you don't get bored. You know, it shows a bit of a scene, setting up, what somebody's going to do next. Then it'll move to somebody else and we'll see what they're doing, another couple of characters or whatever, see how their story's progressing. Then we'll cut back to the, the mini story, arc that we were looking at before. And it's really well done. You never get bored and you never lose track of what's going on either. It's not overly complicated. Anyway, so I forgot his name already. Paul. Did I say Paul? Yeah, that's Paul and Scott, in it. Gone to the pharmacy because Scott's got a date. Remember, Paul's got a date with Meg, Shawnee Smith. But Scott's also got a date with Erika Eleniak. Remember, is that how you pronounce it? She was in Baywatch and Under Siege. She's got her boobs out in Under Siege, which is the bit that everybody remembers. He's got a date with her. So he wants some protection, if you know what I mean. So he's gone to the pharmacy. So off he goes, and he says, "Hey, pal, give me a pack of Trojans and something else. I can't remember what." So the pharmacist, is not shaking his head, and then there we go. The local priest, I can't remember his name. It'll be Father whatever. Del Close, Reverend Meeker. He appears out of nowhere and interrupts Scott. He says, "Oh, hello, Father," and then gets the pharmacist asks, "Do you want the regular or the ribbed?" For her pleasure. Ooh. Wayne's World, great film. So he tries to make out that he's getting them for Paul, and Paul points to Paul, and Paul says, "Come on, this girl's not going to wait all night." And so the pharmacist is like grumbling and saying, "Goddamn kids." But then we find out that that pharmacist is actually Meg's father, which is a good bit of the film. Yes, he does look familiar. Let's have a look. Let's have a look and see what we've seen him in. I've seen him in stuff. And Art Lafleur is the name of the actor. Let's see what he's been in. Let's have a look. Right. By the way, he's dead. He died in 2021, which is very sad. Right. We're in Cobra as Captain Sears, a film I've only seen once, so obviously I can't remember that. Pardon me, I'm burping. We're in Field of Dreams, played Chick Gandil, another film I've only seen once. Field of Dreams is the sort of film that, you know, only Americans understand it because it's about baseball. So nobody gives a monkeys. If you build it, they will come. Whatever. Right, there's been loads of stuff. See if there's anything I know. The Rig, we're in that in 2010. I don't know if I know that. Ace Ventura Pet Detective Junior TV movie. I bet that's rubbish. I bet that's rubbish. It was in Speed Racer, the film, as the Fuji announcer. Don't know. Santa Claus 3, we're in that. What else? There's been in lots of stuff anyway. So there's been Malcolm in the Middle, House MD, stuff like that. Is obviously it'd be described probably as a character actor, I should imagine. Beethoven's Fourth, Jag. Anyway, yeah. So whatever, right? So Art LaFleur is the actor, right? He played the Tooth Fairy in the Santa Claus film. I don't know. I've never seen them. The Tim Allen ones, I presume we're talking about. Never seen them. We've got them somewhere. I think my son's got them upstairs somewhere, but he's never watched them either. Anyway, right. So got his ribbed, protection. Here we go. So that's going to backfire for Paul in a bit. There you go. That girl won't last all night or whatever. Right, back in the woods with some spooky lighting for some reason. This old fella's going to check on the meteorite. Remember, it's a meteorite when it hits the ground. When it's in space, it's still a meteor or an asteroid or whatever. But it only becomes a meteorite when it hits the ground. Why? Dunno. Just does. That's the rule. Windgrace says, I feel like I saw him in something when I was doing an impression of De Niro. Okay, I don't know. He does look a bit like looks a bit like a caricature of Robert De Niro, doesn't he? Anyway. Right. So here we go. Checking out the meteorite. So it goes down, and we can see all the gooey blob stuff. That's what I'm going to mention. I've got my introduction. I'm going to say we're doing a film about gooey pink stuff, and I'm going to say not Barbie. That's in the news, isn't it? That film, Pink and all that. But I forgot because I don't take notes. Anyway, right. So we see the blob in there moving about inside. Look inside this meteorite. So what does he do? He goes and gets a stick. By the way, this is straight out of the original, isn't it? That's what happened in the original. Obviously, it's not a beat-for-beat remake of the 1958 one, but it does homage some of the main points in it, as in this bit and the movie theatre scene and stuff like that, and the blob doesn't like cold. So they keep all that stuff intact. So he gets a bit of the blob on his stick, as we see. There it is. And so he holds it up and has a good look, has it all dripping down on him, because he's obviously some sort of idiot. It suddenly jumps up onto his hand, as we'll see. You ready? Here it comes. Wah! Cool, eh? Cool effect. They did that in reverse. It was stuck to his hand and they pulled it back and then played it in reverse. So he's got this this blob thing stuck to his hand now. In this film, by the way, the blob is like a corrosive alien. In the original, it was just like a blob, and when it rolled over you, that was it. You didn't see what happened. But in this, it's like got a corrosive enzyme or whatever all around it. So if it just touches you, it starts corroding your skin or whatever. So that's what it's doing to his hand. Then we cut to the two kids. This is Meg's brother, Don't ask me the names, doesn't really matter. That's his friend. They're eating jelly. Is it Jello? Is there a difference between jelly and Jello? Or is Jello a brand name? Don't know. But they're eating that with their faces, and his mother rebukes him, says, "Stop eating with your face," which is one of my favourite lines of all time. There she is, his mother. I bet she's super famous in America, isn't she? I bet she is. She looks like it. I bet she's been in like a sitcom or some, General Hospital or whatever program you watch. Sharon, is it her? Sharon's, no, it might be. Yes, Sharon Spellman as Mrs. Penny. Yeah. I bet she's super famous. She looks it. She looks like one of those that's been in everything in America. She's done Columbo as well. Right, so they're eating their Jello. Oh, tea. Windgrace has been on Wikipedia again. Jelly is basically jam without fruit pieces in it. Right. Jello is a brand name invented where I live. All right. You live in Jelloville. Jelloville, USA. That's basically the wiggly stuff that holds shape. Right. Okay. We just call it jam, whether it's got pieces in it or not. It's all jam. Anyway, we don't have Jello. Somebody's sending me a message. Don't know who. Doesn't matter. Right, so Paul's going to arrive any minute now. They're talking about they're going to the cinema, the theatre, flicks, movies, whatever. The two lads, and they're going to see a horror film that's showing. It's got a title, but I can't remember what it is. It came to me then. Summit Murders. It's supposedly inspired by the Toolbox Murders, but it's called something else. The Garden Implement Murders, something like that. They're going to see that, and she says, "Well, how can you get in to see that?" And the Meg's brother's friend says his brother is, one of the ushers, so he lets them in for free. Right, so that's how they're going to get in to see it. Face. Oh dear. Right, so Paul's going to arrive now in a minute, and Meg's brother's going to answer the phone. Oh, there's Meg. Getting ready. Here he is. Good old all-American kid with his college jacket on. There he is. I'm here to see Meg. He says, "What for? Is she in?" And then he disappears, and then Meg's mum reappears, apologises. "Sorry about that. Come in. You must be Paul." Blah, 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 blah. Right, the two lads are going out to the movies to watch their horror film. And she says, the mother says, put your coat on. He says, "Oh, it's boiling out." He says, "No, it's October." It's October. We're told it's October. The thing I watched like a making of video on YouTube earlier on, and they said it was supposed to be in summer. It was filmed in January, apparently, in Arborville or whatever. But they said it's supposed to be set in summer, but obviously it's not. It's in October, but apparently it's still warm. There's no snow. Right, so she puts his jacket on. This is another plot point. This is Chekhov's jacket. He has trouble with the zipper, or zip, as we call it here, but you call it a zipper over there, don't you? Come on. Where they've gone. There we go. So it sticks. Does his zipper. So anyway, his mother sorts it out. So off they go. Is waiting for Meg. Meg comes down and says, "Hello, just want you to meet me down before we go." It'll just take a second. Says, "Daddy, this is my friend Paul." Then Daddy's behind the newspaper. He lowers it down, sees him, and goes, "Ribbed." Hang on, is it going to play? See if I've muted it. See if we just play this bit. I'll unmute it and see if that's that bit. Oh, it won't. Let's go back again. Hear that bit. Ribbed. But obviously they smooth things over. Zipper would be a creepy Cenobite idea. I'm sure they've done one probably in the umpteen Hellraiser films that they've had. I've only seen the first 3. I think. I'm not a huge Hellraiser fan, to be honest. I'm not a huge Clive Barker fan. I think is it Nightbreed? That could be one for me Monday morn. That because I think it's super overrated. People love Nightbreed, and I think it's rubbish. Well, not rubbish, but it's not very good. Anyway, right. So Kevin Dillon, I forgot his character's name. Brian, that's it. Fixing his bike in the woods, or is it just on a wood set? The spooky lighting. For some reason, it gives me X-Files vibes. I don't know why, but it just does. I think Hellraiser is better in concept than execution. Maybe so. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it. I like the idea of it, with the whatever box, that box, whatever it's called. That if you work out the puzzle, it unlocks a portal to a hell dimension sort of thing. That's a good idea. But the actual films themselves, I'm not a huge fan of. Right, off we go. Right, here's a noise in the bushes. And then the old man comes thundering out. Here he is. Is this him? There he is. Thundering out with his with the blob stuck to his hand. And I forgot to mention that he had an axe. He had an axe with him earlier on, so he's got that now, and he's swinging it. It's going to cut into his hand. There we go. He's going to stop it. Well, might have missed it. It does. Anyway, cuts into his hand with the axe, and the blood comes out, but the blob just goes straight over the blood because it's attracted to blood, which is why it gets redder and redder as we watch the film progress, which I think also happened in the original. I think as it consumed people, it turned redder and redder. Anyway, so it disappears off into the through the trees as the old man with Brian in pursuit. Then we're back to Meg and Paul driving to their date. Don't know where they're going. Maybe they're going to the movies. I don't know. Maybe they're going to the lake. There's always a lake, isn't there? I don't know. Or maybe they're just going to make out somewhere at make out point. Never had that sort of thing in the UK. Not in my experience, anyway. But never mind. You just got drunk and just ended up, snogging somebody. That's generally what happens here. And sometimes you end up marrying them for a bit. Anyway, they run him over. He comes running out. See, we've missed that bit now with me waffling on. Oh, what's happened here? Turn on sticky keys. Did I press the wrong button then? Maybe I did. I don't know. Here we go. They're going to run over the old man. When it catches up, here we go, around the corner, round the Johnny Horner. Oh, still missed it. Anyway, they run into him. They don't run him over. They knock him down. He's not dead, obviously. Then Brian appears. They think he's chased him onto the road, but he says, no, he hasn't. He's got some corrosive stuff on his hand, he says. So they take him to hospital. They all pile in the car. Take him to hospital. Hope he's got Blue Cross. I think that's actually mentioned in the film. Because you Americans, you don't have your National Health Service, do you? You'd rather die than pay a bit extra in tax. Don't get me started. Anyway, it's obviously there's some something going on between Paul and Brian. Remember, Brian's supposed to be the bad boy. And Paul's the all-American hero. Anyway, so they all pile over to the hospital and come across like a bureaucratic receptionist / nurse. I think she's asking if he's got Blue Cross. He says, I don't know, just run him over. Or knocked him down. But, he needs to see a doctor. So he's got some forms to fill in as Paul. I think Brian departs now. He's done his bit, so he leaves. So just Paul and Meg left. Well, he says to the old man, they're going to fix you up, old man. Old dude. So off he goes. He's done his bit. So Paul's filling in forms with his scrawly handwriting. And he says to Meg, you know, great first date, eh? She says, oh, it's okay, I don't mind. Then he decides to go get a drink. Does Paul say, do you want a drink? Says, yes, anything diet. Women. Speaking of anything diet, Coke Zero. Give this to that old fella to crush. So while he's doing that, he notices the old man's on a gurney or bed, whatever the hell it is. And weird things seems to be happening with him. It seems to be some sort of movement. There we go. He goes and has a look. Missed it. Go back again. He goes to have a look, and then the old man's weird stuff's happening. He's going all funky. I goes past that's the doctor talking to somebody. Here we go. And he turns over and he's all going funky, and his eyes have gone white. Oh no, what's happening? He says, oh, crikey. So he goes to get the doctor. Doctor, this man needs attention immediately. This doctor's famous, and I can't remember where I've seen him. Let's have a look. Doctor. It doesn't blooming say. Did it? Oh no, that's somebody else. No, doesn't have him there. I'll have to check. All cast and crew, I think. Jack Nance. Is that? I've seen him in something else. I can't think where. Yes, there he is. What have I seen him in? Oh, Eraserhead. That's it. Oh, he's in Dune as well. Yes, that's what Dune I've seen him in. Yes. So he's obviously a David Lynch actor because he's in Eraserhead, Dune, Blue Velvet, and Wild at Heart. So yes, but yeah, I think it's Dune I remember him from. The 1984 Dune, the David Lynch one. Yes. I was in Twin Peaks and all that stuff. So that's where I've seen him. There we go. That's one mystery solved to my satisfaction. Oh, bad me, burping. Oh, gonna have bloody full screen. One. Right, so they're going to go see to the old man. But there we go. There's nothing left of him. They pull back the sheet, and he's all eaten away. Oh no, good. Nice bit of gruesomeness. Well, there's quite a lot in this film. It's a pretty gruesome film. It's ace. So they're all shocked. So Paul heads to the phone and says, "Get the police over here now. An old man's being killed," etc. But then while he's on the phone, is it this bit? Bit more. While he's on the phone, the door behind him swings. Oh, I've gone too far. There we go. The door behind him swings open. There we go. And there we see the blob going up the wall, which is actually quite a cool effect. Actually, it looks like it's a composite effect, doesn't it? You can see a little bit of a black line around him. But it's a reasonably well done one. Some later in the film are not as well done. So that's obviously a miniature in it. Probably a miniature door as well. And I imagine it's probably upside down, isn't it? That's how they did the effect of the blob going up the wall. So there we go. So that's there. But then he looks up and it drops down on him. I'll go to see a bit of an alien / aliens reference here. He sees the corrosive substance dripping onto the desk, which they did with acid, and the actual desk is made of polystyrene. There you go. Probably why it's not leaning on it, if you notice, because it's just polytrene, as my mate would say. So he notices that, and then he looks up, and we've probably missed it now. He looks up. There we go. And it drops down on him. Ah! So you hear him scream. By the way, that bit where it drops down, we're done in reverse. They actually filmed. They dropped the blob onto the ceiling, filmed it upside down, whatever. The ceiling was the floor, dropped it down there, and filmed it in reverse. It looked as though it were dropping down onto Paul. So we hear him scream. So Meg goes running in, and there we go. Paul's been consumed by the blob. So, the hero is taken out. And apparently we're inspired, Chuck Russell and Darabont, I suppose. We're inspired by Psycho, because in that film, we meet Marion Crane, and we think she's the star of the film. But then, she gets, spoilers if you haven't seen Psycho, she gets killed at the end of the Act 1. So they thought they'd do a similar thing here. We think Paul's going to be the hero, but he isn't. He gets killed now. He gets eaten by the blob. That's actually him under there. That's actually the actor. That's Donovan Leitch under there. And what they do with this, the blob, it's actually, I can't remember what they call it now. It's like a fine cloth that they use. And they smear this fine cloth with, I forgot what they call it, the blob stuff, some sort of jelly. Like, it's not KY jelly. They do use a lot of that, but it's called something else. And they smear it all in that, and then they just basically pulled it over him. But he said it was all going in his mouth and up his nose, and it wasn't very nice. Actually, apparently, Shawnee Smith's reaction when she saw this, because she didn't tell her what they were going to do, it's actually genuine. And she thought, he was, really in trouble. Obviously, not being eaten by a blob, but she thought he was in pain. So there you go. That reaction's real, apparently. So she rushes to help him. This is actually a miniature. Where she grabs his hand, so it must be a dummy Meg. There you go. And where she pulls his arm off, not that obviously, pulls his arm off, and it is on the floor. Paul's dead. She's unconscious. She's fainted. The police arrive and all that. The blob. By the way, I forgot to mention background. So you can see it. They're going to show it here. A bit further back. There we go. If you're watching, you've seen the blob, but no, not Vaseline. It's called something else, Metrocell or something like that. I can't remember. The link is in the description for the making of YouTube video that I watched from Good Bad Films. If you're looking in the background, the blob is actually heading out the window. There it is, look, heading out the window. So we see it escaping as well. Right, so she pulls his arm off. There it is. And the police arrive. And the Meg's parents. So they're told that Brian was there, so he's like public enemy number one. Even though they think he might have something to do with it. There's no sign of the blob, not even any residue apparently, or maybe they're just seeing little bits and they think it's maybe Vaseline. I don't know. But anyway, so they don't know what's going on. This is Emil from RoboCop. Don't ask me the name of the actor. I'll tell you in a minute. Paul something, I think. Yeah, Paul McCrane. That's it. Who's most famous as Emil from RoboCop. You some sort of college boy or something? I could shoot your eye out from here. That one. The one who gets melted in the toxic waste. Anyway, he's playing a cop in this one. But he's not much nicer than Emil, to be honest. He thinks Brian's behind it all. We've got to work out what's happening now. What's killed the old man and Paul, whatever he's called, the all-American kid. So they've got Brian. They pick Brian up. I think they're going to take him to the police station. They're going to take Meg to the police station as well for a statement. Now, cut back to Scott with Erica Eleniak. I don't know if her character's got a name. Have a look. Let's have a look. Oh yes, Vicky. Vicky DeSoto is her character's name. But they're making out in his battered old car. Is it Asher's car from The Evil Dead? I don't know. Probably not. They're making out, and he's getting a drunk. So she's kind of a passed out look. So he's going to get some more. There he goes. He's got his bar in the back of his car. That rhymes. He's making another drink, and he gets a little, I don't know, a ring or something, or a necklace or something like that. They're going to give her because she's his girl. But then we see something's heading for the car. Nice POV shot. Because the blob must have eyes. Anyway, so it's a ring on the necklace. Yeah. We've got lots of them. He's a naughty boy, Scott. Yeah, so he goes back in and giving her a drink, and then decides he wants to have a bit of a touchy-feely session. But it's Erika Eleniak, bloody hell. So here he is. Let's get past this bit. There you go. Kind of creepy in this day and age. But with the 80s, it was all the rage back then. So he's even copping a feel. But then, hang on. But cops a feel, and but his hand comes out all covered in goo. Then her face implodes, I think. There we go. Her face implodes. And the blob comes out and gets him. There he goes, smashes his window with his boot. So that's the end of Scott and Vicky. More victims. And there's a snow globe, a very Christmassy one. She must be back home, Meg. She didn't go to the station, then they just took her home. She's sad, obviously. Oh, a big spot on her forehead there, you see, a big blackhead there. Look, very, very attractive. Get the mirror and get that popped. I think his her father's moaning about, kids as usual, and Brian's a delinquent and all that. But obviously the mother's been caring. I think she's going to sneak out now, though, in a minute. There's been all, if you need anything, I'm just down the hall. Our house isn't big enough to have a hall. We've just got rooms with doors interconnecting them. Right, the blob's done with Scott and Vicky, and now it's heading into the drainage system and heading down into town. There we see the ring is now part of the blob. So in it goes. In it goes. There's some, like I said, cool effects, mostly practical. There we go. I didn't know Dr. Pulaski was in this film. Joke. She does have that. It looks a little bit like her, doesn't she? Bit like Diana Muldaur. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, right, effects. The effects are, mostly practical. There's a little bit of CG in it, but not what you think. We'll get to that later. And I think there's a couple of shots of stop motion, I think. At least one. There's at least one shot of stop motion. There's probably more. But it's mostly in-camera practical effects with the blob and stuff. It's not just goo that they've filmed. It's actual, puppets and, all this stuff. Animatronics and all that. Right, so it's heading for town now. Obviously, the hospital must have been on the outskirts of town. But now it's heading into town. There's Brian being interviewed in the police station. I don't know why he's got this thing on his leg. Some sort of holster. I don't know. Maybe he just thinks he's cool. By the way, I like his shirt. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of the Star Trek 2 uniforms, with that little flap there, But it's a nice shirt. So they're trying to pin it on him, basically. Well, Emil is. It's a name. I can't call him Emil all the way through the film, can I? Where is he? Deputy Bill Briggs. We'll just call him Briggs. Right, where were we? He's trying to, pin everything on him, but the sheriff, he's nabbing on him. He says, there we go there. We know you did it, you punk, and all that, And Brian's being tough, saying, yeah, no, you You'd love to pin it on me, blah, 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 blah. There we go. But the sheriff obviously breaks it up and lets him go. Says, Brian's a punk, but he's no killer. So they let him go. And Briggs, called him Emil, says, I think you're making a mistake. But obviously he's not. Because Brian is our new hero of the film. Spoilers. All right, so it comes out. I think he's just taped up his jeans, basically, and I think that's what he's done. Because he's no money, has he? Or very little money. So I think he's just taped up his jeans to repair them. After his little accident earlier. Oh, pardon me. All right, so he's walking through the streets of this deserted town. Everybody must be in the movie theatre, because we see it later on. Or nearly everybody. But Meg's snuck out, and she's in a little Volkswagen Beetle. She's driven in, and she wants to talk to him about what's happened. She's actually come to bail him out with a credit card. And Brian says, I don't think they accept plastic, but thanks for the thought. He says, I'm hungry. I'm going to get something to eat. So he goes to the diner, to Fran's diner, and she says, we're closed. And he says, oh, come on, Fran, I've had a crappy day. So she says, well, I can make you a sandwich then. So she makes him a sandwich, and he sits down. Because Fran's a good egg. That's the cook. I presume he's the cook and washer-upper. He's locking up. But just as he's locking up, Shawnee Smith bursts in. Just let people come in willy-nilly, even when they're closing. So, she wants to talk to Brian. So you've got to tell the police what happened and all that. This thing that killed Paul and the old man. And he's kind of playing it cool. He just saw an old man with a funky hand. That's how he describes it. He didn't see this huge blobby monster. She's trying to, bring him round. And it basically fobs her off, and she gets cross and says he's full of the S word. And so she goes to leave. Says, are you on something? So she says, you're full of shit. And then she storms out, but he goes and catches up to her. Says, sorry, come and sit down. Have something to eat. Have some of my sandwich. And he says, I've never heard you say shit before. What was that like? So they have a little laugh. And then Fran brings over some apple pie in a minute. That's the sheriff. He's got to go and check on. He's remembering he's got a date with Fran, so he's got to go and go there. And this is the last time. I think it's the last time we see the sheriff alive. Because something happens. I think it is, but we will see. We will see. There you go. She's giving him some apple pie. I think it's apple pie on the house because she was just going to throw it away. So anyway, she goes back into the kitchen. I don't know if that kitchen have been many health and safety awards in the UK. That'd be closed down. But anyway, it's the trap. What do they call it now? What do you call them? We don't really have these in the UK. The waste disposal. That's it. The waste disposal's backed up. There've never been a thing in the UK, waste disposals. But they've got to be in every horror film. Somebody's got to shove their hand down a waste disposal, haven't they? But she's plunging it. But the big muscly washer-upper / chef, whatever the hell he is, he decides to take over. And it is his undoing. By the way, he looks familiar, does this fella? I don't know if I've seen him in something else. He does look familiar. I don't know the character's name. I presume the old man is just called Can Man in this, I think. He was played by a fellow called Billy Beck. I don't know his name. I don't know the character's name, so it doesn't say washer-upper. Yeah, I don't know. Let's have a look. No, don't know. Is it him? Is it? I don't know. It could be anybody. It could be anybody. But it looks familiar. I've probably seen him in something. Anyway, whatever. So he's trying to unbung this waste disposal. So obviously he shoves his hand in. Obviously, oh there we go, and it pulls his hand out. There's a bit of goo on it, but then the thing grabs him and pulls him in into the sink. There we go. In it goes. Actually, that was actually filmed in reverse as well. The actor, I think, maybe said he was a stunt man. I think we're doing a handstand in the sink and then drop down, and they just played that in reverse to make it look like it pulled him in. And then it pulls him into the sink, as we see. Because remember, it's corroding, his skin and bones. That's why he fits in. Candy Clark comes in, Fran, sorry, and sees what's going on, screams. So they all go and run in, see what's going on. Oh, see, I missed it now. There we go. Just see his foot disappearing down the garbage disposal. And then all blood comes. No, the blob comes bursting out now. Wrong button. Back again. Come on. There you go. There it comes. Not the best compositing there, is it? Around that edge, but it's the 80s. Out it comes. That's sending tentacles out to get them. So they're all scared. Oh, that terrible bit of compositing here. They're actually running on a treadmill in front of a blue screen. There you go. Looks awful, that, doesn't it? I think his name is George. Is it? I don't know. Maybe it is. I missed it. Let's have a look. Is there a George here in the cast list? Did it? George Ruiz could be Clayton Landy. Maybe. Yes, it is. Yes, that's the fella. So what have I seen him in? Probably nothing, to be honest. Knots Land. Oh, Stargate. Of course. Yes. It's Colonel Dylan Everett from Stargate Atlantis, who got half his life sucked out of him by the Wraith. Crikey. I knew he looked familiar. So is it Colonel? I forgot his name already. Dylan Everett in Stargate Atlantis, who were a friend, obviously, of the previous Colonel, played by Robert Patrick. I forgot his name. Who was killed by the Wraith. In that good episode, The Siege. It was a three-parter, wasn't it, I think, The Siege. So there you go, Wyngrace is from Stargate. We've got a Stargate connection with this film. I thought it looked familiar. So good old Wyngrace. His research wins the day again. Right, back to the film. Right, they're running away from the blob. So, this, the duck into the walk-in freezer. There it is, with all the leaf spinach and chopped spinach and whatever else they've got. Is that some sort of bread there? Probably. I don't know. But I keep calling it the thing. The blob, it doesn't like the cold. There it is. Doesn't like it. But there you go. Ooh, that's cold. Cold on my tootsies. So it goes back out. So it doesn't like the cold. So there we go. Oh, look, corn dogs. Look, corn. Never had a corn. I don't even know what one is. Oh, dear. So they're safe for the time being, as long as they're staying there. But obviously they can't stay in there. But Fran gets out, since he climbs out of a window. And she runs round the corner to the telephone booth. Remember those? So she goes in and she starts. I think she's calling the police. I think. What's happening there? Oh, she gets a. She's phoning for the. That's it. She's phoning for the sheriff because he'd given her his card earlier on. So she's phoning the sheriff's office and asking for him, and they said no, he's on his way to the diner, and he puts his coat on because he's a gentleman, puts his jacket on her. She's phoning the police, and then as we're watching, the blob's sliding down the window. She's like, send the sheriff! Oh no! But then we're going to see we find out what's happened to the sheriff in a moment. She's dialing away. Is it going to show us? Come on, show us the sheriff. Oh, yeah, the glass starts to break. Come on, there we go. There's the sheriff. That's what's happened to him. So it got him off screen. Didn't even see the sheriff get got on screen. It's got him off screen. But we know it's the sheriff because of his big, massive sheriff star. So, oh dear. But then it gets her as well. She's holding the door back, but then it all implodes. Here we go. This is obviously really Candy Clark in the booth, and the cut away, and then they cut to a miniature that they use. There we go. It's a miniature and a little model. You can tell it's almost like a doll's arm, doesn't it? And they just use air rams to blow in the. There we go. The blob. Right. So they think the coast's clear. They haven't heard for a while, so they're going to make a run for it. Where they're going to go now, can't remember. Yes, the Reverend Meeker turns up for some reason, and he sees the blob in all its glory. In a minute, as he hears some sort of commotion, and there he sees it. Look, a bit of not the best compositing, but it's obviously a miniature, isn't it? Good miniatures, I must admit, they are good miniatures. It's heading down into the drains. Like, oh my goodness, look, heading down to where Pennywise lives down there. Look, because they all float down here. Right, so he's like, crikey, what was that? So he sees all the damage that's occurred. Brian takes out some jam. He calls it jam, but it says jelly there. Look, it says jelly, but he says I took out a raspberry jam. But it says jelly there. Make your minds up, Americans. A black cat's eating it. I think he finds a piece of it that's broken off, when it was cold. I think we see it reflected there. Oh, there we go. This may be a bit of the CG that we see. I think they use a bit of CG to do the sparkly bits on it, I think. Might be later on in the film. Maybe that bit there. Like I say, it's very, very little bits. But here he goes. He's finding all these little bits. See if we can see it. We see it definitely later on when there's a lot of it. We're going to show it. There we go. That's CG. Is that the only CG in the film? We see it again later on in the film, and they freeze it all. Spoilers. Anyway, jelly, jam, marmalade, jello, preserves, all different. Yeah, we just call it all jam, apart from marmalade. Never been a fan of marmalade. My mother loved it. She had it, often on toast. Never liked it. I like the idea of it. I like oranges. I don't know why I don't like marmalade. Anyway, but I like jam. Right. Anyway, whatever. So he's got his bits of the blob. He wants to get that lid closed properly, doesn't he? Obviously he does. Right. So off he goes, doing whatever he's doing. Right. Brian and Meg are at this is the police station, isn't it? Saying what's going on? Chaos in the town and all that. Everybody's busy. So they're in Meg's car. It's not the sheriff's vehicle. I don't know where they are now. Or is it... no, I think it's Briggs's car. I think that's Briggs's car. So they're out in the woods. I think they're looking for clues, Scooby-Doo style. They've gone back to the scene of the original crime where the meteor crashed down. They get found by these lot. The government's arrived. It's the feds with Joe. I don't know how you pronounce it. Is it Seneca or Seneca? I don't know how you pronounce it. I presume he's super famous. I'd never heard of him, to be honest. He's the lead doctor. Dr. Blum. It begins with M. Can't remember. Dr. Meadows, that's it. Is it Seneca or Seneca? I'll say Seneca. Yes, Clayton Landy. Sorry, I just saw him again, Clayton Landy on the list there. Stargate Atlantis. What have I seen him in? Malcolm X, Silverado. Sequest, DSV. Played Professor Bingham in Sequest, DSV. And that's about it, really. In the Heat of the Night TV series. Matlock. It's a lot of TV, basically. A lot of TV. Spencer for Hire. I used to like that. Amazing Stories. Yeah, a lot of TV. Right, anyway, whatever. Kramer versus Kramer. Who were in that as well? Right. Where were we? Right, so they've arrived. There we go. Guns pointed at them. And the claim to be there because, there's some bacteriological agent that's arrived on a meteorite. And they're there to help. But obviously, Brian's not convinced. But they're told to go in this truck to be taken back to town because the town's under quarantine now. That chap there on the right is a colonel somebody or other. Obviously, Briggs is helping them. He thinks they're above board. So they're going to take them back to town, but Brian doesn't want anything to do with that. Why? They talk about the dinosaurs, by the way. Meadows has this theory that the dinosaurs were killed by a virus that were brought on the asteroid that hit Earth. He just says meteorite. But that's what killed the dinosaurs, a virus. Of course, we all know it was Homer Simpson, wasn't it? That he sneezed on a dinosaur, didn't he, in that Treehouse of Horror episode. Anyway. Right, so what's happening now? Can't remember. Then we cut to a couple making out, and then there's a fella cutting with a chainsaw, trimming the verge, so to speak, and says, "Hey," and then he looks up and he's got a hockey mask on, and the kid says, "Hockey season ended months ago," and then we learn it's actually a film. This is the film that they're watching in the cinema. There they are. Yes, of course, we know that. Yes, Windgrace. The dinosaurs escaped and lived in the the Voth. Yes, we know that. Oh dear. Obviously, they made a mistake, didn't they, in Voyager? Because that was made in the 90s, wasn't it? Before we knew that probably all dinosaurs were warm-blooded in that episode. Distant origin. They keep talking about being cold-blooded. Oh, excuse me. Have a drinky. Back on the booze again. It's got a bit of lemonade in there just to top it up. Right, where were we? Right, so they're watching this film. That kid's always got his headphones on. Don't know how he's hearing what's going on. But this fella here behind him, he keeps telling them what's going to happen next because he's obviously with his girlfriend, and he's saying, this is going to happen, and getting Meg's brother annoyed. There you go. Keeps looking back at him. Eventually, but not yet, something happens to him. His brother comes out and tells him to stop causing trouble, or it'll get him fired. Then we see the projectionist is in the booth, and he's getting all hot and sweaty. So he goes to check on the air conditioning. As we can see there, it's not working. So just look, there's one of the aliens from Earth versus the Flying Saucers there. So I've never stopped to look at these pictures. So I've made that out. That's from Earth versus the Flying Saucers. I can't make out any of these others. That's from The Thing, isn't it, down there? Can you make it out? There we go. That's from The Thing, isn't it? That one there. Can't make anything out. There's got to be something in here from Little Shop of Horrors, because the effects bloke worked on Audrey 2 in Little Shop of Horrors, which I've never seen. I've never seen Little Shop of Horrors. I know all about it, but I've never seen it. Anyway, Windgrace is still on his Star Trek thing. Romulan time travelers made them cold-blooded, yes, because Romulans keep going and altering the timelines, don't they? The pesky things. Right, air conditioning not working. So he gets on the phone to the manager, I presume. He says, "Is the air conditioning on?" The manager says, "Yes." It's obviously blocked. So he opens it up, and Bruce Willis pops his head out. He says, "Is this the way to Nakatomi?" And he doesn't. So I don't think we see what happens to him. He says, it's blocked. And then I think we just then cut to. Oh no, we have another Star Trek thing going on here. He puts his little lights on and looks into the vent, and then we get there we go. This is I can't remember the name of the character. I think she was a lieutenant in Star Trek First Contact. When the Borg get her, she sticks her head in a vent, Jeffrey's tube, whatever. And this happens, and he even screams like, "Ah!" So he's getting got by the blob or the Borg. Can't remember the name of the character in Star Trek First Contact. I drew a picture of her because, it's a cool shot. Anyway, right, so this fella arrives. He's obviously, I presume he's the manager. I was thinking, I watched it and I thought, they couldn't get James Tolkien because he's in every other film in the 80s. They couldn't get him, so I thought, well, this fella's baldish. We'll stick a bow tie on him. He'll do as budget James Tolkien. So he goes in there, and then we see the blobs up on the ceiling. There we go. That's what's left of the projectionist. Like, oh, cool. And then it gets him as well. It gets the budget James Tolkien as well. Then we cut back to them. Now they're getting bundled in the back of a van to be taken back into town, but Brian doesn't want to do that. He says, "Oh, we could make his own way back," but obviously the army's there and force them back into the van. So they're heading back, but Brian don't want to hang around, so he's going to head out of town. And he says, "Come with me, Meg." He says, "No, I've got family in town." And he says, "Well, sod you then, I'm going." So the part ways here. I think he goes to get his bike, but he has a shufty round as well beforehand. But off he goes. He leaps out of a moving vehicle. He's a proponent of chaos theory, apparently. Right, back in town. We've actually got some townspeople now. They've come out of the woodwork because I think they're just gathering them all in one place, because of the quarantine. She's reunited with the family, is Meg, and said, "Where's your brother?" And because she's not supposed to be babysitting, is she? But her brother was supposed to be. Oh, yes, they knew he'd gone to the pictures, didn't they? So he's at the cinema. So he says, "Oh, I must still be there." So I think Meg goes and get him. This fella's telling him what's going on in the film, and then Meg's brother, what's his name? What's his bloody name? Kevin. Yeah, I think it's Kevin. Kevin Penny. Sounds right, doesn't it? Sounds about right. So call him Kevin. He gets, loses his temper with this fella behind. This, mulleted chap. He turns around and says, "Will you be quiet, please?" But then something grabs him and drags him up, and then the film breaks. In a minute. Ooh, there we go. Don't get Hulk Hogan appearing now, or Gremlins trying to fix the film. No, that's something else. And the blob comes out. There we go. Comes out of the projection booth. Then we get a sequence that's if you've got flash-related epilepsy, don't watch this bit of the film. You're fine here. I'm not sure. I'll not show it. There were Meg running to the theatre, and they all come running out. In like like happened in the original. I came running out of the theatre. Who finds this person? Can't remember. See all the flashing going on. Is this Meg? Meg finds this woman on the floor, and she turns her over. And apparently, this is supposed to look like somebody's wife, and I can't remember who. But I thought it was funny. Maybe the effects chap modelled it after his wife, and she loved it. She said, "Great." Turns her over, look, and she's all melty. Ugh. Anyway, so she's looking for Kevin. There you go. She finds Kevin and his mate. So they run out through the door, but then he gets his hood stuck in the door. And remember, his zipper is broken. But they get him away just in time. The blob is going to go bursting through the door any minute. So here it comes. There we go, all gooey. So they decide, all the doors are locked, so they decide to go down into the drain system. Is it the sewers or is it a storm drain? I don't know what it is. If it's the sewers, it'll be a bit bloody smelly down there. They do a lot of swimming. That's Kevin's friend's brother. I presume he's fine. I don't actually know. We don't see him again, I don't think. Just saying what you're doing, and then they head down into the. Well, I'll say drains. The blob's trying to use its tentacles to get them. They actually grab hold of Meg's hair, but she gets away. All that corrodes her hair that it grabs hold of. She drops down. So they're running for their lives through the drains. Brian's got his bike, but he decides to go and see what's going on at the meteorite crash site. And there we see they're pulling it out of the ground. Here we go. And we see that it's all been a ruse. It's not actually, there you go, you can see it there. It's not actually a meteor. It's actually a satellite that's crashed. And it were all, it's not an alien life form. It's something they've cooked up in a lab, sent into space for whatever reason. And it's come back mutated. Quatermass style, no doubt. There we go, slightly better look at the satellite. So Dr. Meadows is super impressed with this. It's exceeded all their expectations. He's after. He's a baddie, by the way. Whoever controls this creature, whatever, will control the world. But this other fella here, him, he's scared. He says, there may not be. If they don't control this life form, there may not be a United States of America left, because the colonel's saying, America will control the world. If they don't control this creature, there might not be a USA left. Yes, exactly. What? Undone by our own science? Well, I never. Yes. Who'd have thunk it, eh? Right. So they've got to get the beast under control. So that's their next plan. This doctor, who's played by got a famous name, but I can't think where I know him from. Bill Moseley. I'm thinking, I don't know. Is he a writer? I don't know. I'm thinking of somebody else. No, that's somebody else. Sorry, that's another soldier later on. Where are we? It could be him. It could be, I don't know. It could be Jennings, played by Robert Axelrod. I think it is, actually. I think that's him. Let's have a look. Yes, it is. That's Robert Axelrod. What have I seen him in? Been in Power Rangers. Do the voice of Lord Zed. Akira. Played Shimazaki, the voice. Never seen Akira. I'm not a huge anime fan. No, not been anything I've seen, really. It looks familiar. Right, where were we? So he's not convinced that they can control it, but Meadows tells him to, follow orders, do as you're told, etc. Brian's overheard all this. Oh, we're told that to go into town, and I think that they find that it's gone into the sewers chasing some people, so they have to go and get it. And he says, Dr. Meadows says that the civilians are expendable, so that's how we know he's a baddie. Yeah, he died fairly recently. It was not a very good end. Oh dear, I didn't look that far into his bio. All people blooming dying, isn't there? Comes to us all. Right, so Brian's overhearing all this, so he knows they're baddies now. The garden. That's it. The Garden Tool Murders or whatever. That's the name of it. The film. Right, so the town is being quarantined. Brian is overhearing all this. Civilians are expendable. Dun, dun, dun. So he tries to make a getaway, but he gets caught. There we go. By let's go back again. By this chap, by one of the soldiers. Says, get up. He's got his gun pointed at him. Look, but he's still got his ratchet in his hand. There you go. From fixing his bike, so he clobbers him and makes a run for it. Luckily, his bike starts, and there we go. Luckily, his bike starts. Off he goes, and he's going to make that jump. Remember, that was Chekhov's jump, Chekhov's bridge earlier on. Lots of Chekhov's things. Lots of setting up and paying off in this film, isn't there? So he's getting chased through the woods. As I said, I've not seen any mountains yet for a ski place, but never mind. So off he goes, being chased by the baddies and the helicopter. But here's the bridge. He's going to jump over it. Here, ready. Oh, that pickup truck there, for some reason, is driving off the edge. And that's not going to end well for them, is it? But he makes it over. Obviously, that's not Kevin Dillon doing that. That's a stuntman. Apparently, he did this jump. And when he landed, both tyres on the bike burst. But he kept control of it, did the stuntman, and carried on. And unfortunately, they couldn't use it. They could use the jump, but not the landing. They were hoping, that they'd get it all, was the stuntman, and use it all of him driving away into the woods. But they couldn't, because both tyres had burst. So they obviously wanted a shot of him with, the tyre in good nick. So to redo that bit, reshoot it. But the jump was real. There it goes. And it goes. Done in, I think it was done in one take. And then they're shooting at him. So anyway, he's got away. Now he's heading to this storm drain. I presume that's what it is. I don't know. It could be a sewage outlet for all I know. I've no idea. Going to go in there now. Obviously going to get his bike up there. Thinks he's in the Italian job. Trucks are arriving. All that jazz. Setting up, HQs, blah, blah, blah. All right, here we're learning that the town, the city, they call it, it's just a town, it's not a city, is built on a series of aqueducts. But there's just 3 ways in. And there, and there, the cut-off valves are. So if they close those, the blob is trapped in the drain system. So there we go. It's showing us that there's a manhole there. Just one manhole in the whole town. That's all they need. Oh dear. All right, so obviously they wouldn't call it a manhole today, would they? It would be, a personnel access point. Right, so they're in the drains. Soldiers are going in looking for them. They're going to find a way out, a ladder that leads up. So they head for that. But here we go. The blob arrives and starts chasing them. So they start climbing up this pipe. It's not a ladder, it's a pipe, isn't it? So they start climbing up. I think his mate falls in and gets dragged away. I might gloss past that answer. We see him getting dragged away. Shawnee Smith, I think he's done in after him, hasn't she? On showers. going to come up in a minute. Oh, for Pete's sake. There we go. He comes back up. She couldn't find him, but then he emerges, look all melty. So they've killed a kid in this film. Yeah. He looks a bit like Emil in RoboCop, doesn't he? or young Jason Voorhees at the end of Friday the 13th. But that's the end of Kevin's friend. So she starts climbing up. The blob comes out. Doesn't look that good there, does it? But, it's fine. It's fine. Climbing up. He gets through that grid. Does Kevin. But she can't fit through. She's too big to fit through. Then the soldiers arrive and they start shooting at it, distract it slightly, and so it turns its attention to them. There we go. And so she drops back. Was that Kevin that's got out? Kevin's got out, look, through the storm drain. Luckily, Pennywise wasn't there. He's got out. She's stuck down there. She's got to find another way out. So she finds another, whatever this is, some sort of exit point. So she climbs up there, but then Brian arrives and saves her in the nick of time. So they ride away in their motorbike. But they're still in the storm drain or drainage, whatever the hell it is, sewers. On his motorbike, riding about. There you go, through the tunnels. Well, I said, I've like sewer systems got to be huge. I mean, I'm sure, like in my town, I bet we haven't got tunnels like that underneath it for the sewers and drains and stuff. There'll be like little pipes that are about that big. Anyway, have I missed that bit? I'll go past. Go back. Right, they've got to ride down here, and he does a bit of a wall of death. Here he goes. Does a bit of a wall of death past the blob. See, I've come past it again. Look, what do you think? Here he goes. Let's do it. So, I've got to pause it. Let's make sure we're still going, by the way. Make sure we're still going. Yes, we're fine, I think. I think we're fine. Nobody said anything on the live chat on Rumble, but I do have a comment. Should have watched the original, says Buddy Wiser. So Buddy Wiser's very wise, obviously. And we're still going on Twitch. I hope we are. Anyway, right. So where were we? He's doing his wall of death past the blob. There he goes. Look, wow. Apparently, the stunt people that they got to do this were actually like circus motorbike riders, that do like the wall of death thing. And they said that they could, if the tunnel were built properly, they could actually do a 360, around it. And they kept trying, but they couldn't. So they had to make do with that. What they did. Anyway, so he crashed. I think his bike's totaled now. Hey, Joshua's here! Yay! Joshua's arrived. I haven't seen him for a couple of weeks. Where have you been? Better late than never. Where were we? Right. You've been missed, mate. You've been missed. I've been asking where you are. Anyway, right. So his bike's totaled. I had to come across this. I think this is Bill Moseley. I said that name rings a bell, Bill Moseley, but I can't think where from. There is a writer called Bill Moseley, isn't there? But I'm sure he's black. He's from other horror films, isn't he? Texas Chainsaw 2 and that. Yeah. But I don't think I've seen him in that. I've probably seen him in something else. Night of the Living Dead. Is that the 1991? Yes, that's an S. That's probably what I've seen him in then. In the Night of the Living Dead remake. Yeah, but he's been in a lot of horror films. A few, a couple, or maybe more of. I forgot his name now. Him that always has his wife. Him that did the Halloween remakes that were rubbish. Rob Zombie. A few Rob Zombie films. I don't like Rob Zombie films. Anyway, whatever. He's been on vacation since Friday down at the beach. Well, I hope you had a nice time. I hope you got a tan. Anyway, yeah, jolly good. Hope you had a nice time. And welcome back. Just in time for the big finale of The Blob. Anyway, so he's obviously terrified. I think he tells him how to get out. But I think he gets on the radio to Dr. Meadows. There you go. They find an access point or way to get out. But Dr. Meadows says, seal it up. So they seal up the manhole, the only one in town. And I think they just park a truck over it or a van. So they can't get out. There we go. Obviously, that soldier's not happy about that. Then Brian notices he's got a blooming... Oh, they think they're going to die. But then Brian notices the soldier's got a blooming bazooka on his back. So he gets that. He says, does this work? Yeah. So he goes and fires it up and blows up the truck. Just like that. Cool. They've got a way out now. Apart from all the, smouldering metal and plastic. So they get out. It's all going to kick off now. The Blob's going to arrive in earnest. The things are heating up. There's Briggs pointing his gun at Brian. So obviously he doesn't like Brian. Who's picked up a machine gun. Or whatever they're called. An assault rifle. I'm British, we don't know these things. So, soldiers are keeping the crowd back. I think they all make a retreat because the Blob arrives any minute now. They all make a retreat. There you go, it's arriving now. Grabbed hold of somebody. I think grabbed hold of the doctor. I think it's grabbed hold of Meadows, hasn't it? So, yeah, because it goes up into his suit, doesn't it? Here we go, we're going to see it now. Is it this bit? Is that a different soldier? No, it's Dr. Meadows. Look, and the stuff goes up. The Blob gets him. That's the end of that bad guy. There's the Colonel with his hand grenades. He just happens to have. Nobody else has them there, I don't think, but he does got his hand grenades strapped to his chest. So he's saying, right, that's it. We're gonna wipe out. We're gonna blow this thing away. Obviously, Meadows wanted it alive, and they're all shooting into the manhole. Obviously, that's not going to do any good. So they drop some explosives down, but that's bread and butter for the Blob, isn't it? So it's going to come out now. There's what's left of the manhole cover. Only one in town. So it's going to come out now in a minute. Any minute now. Here we go. Bursting out. Here it comes. Out it comes, the Blob. There it is. They call that the Christmas tree. I don't know why. So out it comes. And it's going to land on the Colonel now. Are you ready? There you go. So he pulls his pins out of his hand grenades. He knows he's done for. So he gets squished by the Blob. He thinks his hand grenades are going to take it out, but obviously they don't. As we see, it's there, and they run past. There we go. Great compositing again. But then we see two explosions inside, the hand grenades going off. Are you ready? Oh, missed it. Missed it. Again. Right, again. Come on, show us. Sure, it's this bit. Come on, where are you? Oh, there we go. Two little explosions. Hey, right, so they're all running for their lives now, apart from Reverend Meeker, who's obsessed with it. He thinks it's some sort of god or whatever. They're going to try and burn it, and obviously that won't do any good. Fire doesn't do anything to the Blob. Just sets everybody else on bloody fire. Oh, dear. Right, so happening there. Oh, I think this looks a bit stop motion, doesn't it? That's stop motion, definitely that, isn't it? There we go. Oh, it's using the fire extinguisher to fight it back, because fire extinguishers are cold, aren't they? They're using it in wherever they are there. I don't know what it is. To fight it back. If this looks familiar, the effects chaps who did this worked on the special effects for Ghostbusters 2 I think a year later, wasn't it? 1989, I think Ghostbusters 2 came out. And they did the effects for that as well, which had like a blob in it, didn't it? The mood, what they call it? Mood goo, whatever they called it. Mood slime, that's it. And they worked on that, and we saw that all over the wherever it was. But they used the Statue of Liberty to smash through. So that's why that looks familiar. Anyway, here comes Chekhov's Snowmaker. Here it comes. Here it comes. Saw it at the beginning of the film. Now it's coming into play. Joshua says, yeah, another psycho preacher looking to enact the end times. Well, yeah, because they're all about that, aren't they? They're all about Armageddon, the apocalypse, as they used to say when I used to pronounce it. Not apocalypse, but the apocalypse. Sounds like a Barry Manilow song, doesn't it? Anyway, so everybody's panicking in the is it the town hall or whatever they're in? I don't know. Here comes the snow machine. They're running out of fire extinguisher stuff. And Briggs / Emil from RoboCop, he's going to cop for it now. He's holding up this bookcase to try and stop it getting in, but it breaks through the bookcase. Are you ready? It's going to snap him in half. Are you ready? Cool bit coming up. Come on, show us. Build up. There he goes. Hey. Don't have much luck in his films, does he? Does Paul McCrane. Gets melted in RoboCop, gets broken in half in this one. Right, so what's happening now? Right, this snow machine's on its way. He goes spraying it with the snow, but it's not doing I don't think it's doing the job well enough. He drives it into the blob. Here we go, and it obviously just bounces off and overturns. There we go. So that didn't work, did it? So he's got to think of something else. So what's he going to do? Oh, look, there's all melty people, look, that the blob's got. This is obviously a miniature, isn't it, of the blob getting the snowmaker. I don't know why it's getting it. Just is. There won't be any blood in it, will there? So we're attracted to blood. It's a snowmaker. Maybe it's the colour, because it's red. See, she's had enough as Meg, the lovely Shawnee Smith. She's going to grab a machine gun now and start shooting the bugger. Because she's Sarah Connor. Let's use HAARP. It was probably HAARP that caused this in the first place. Tell you. What was it? High Altitude Atmospheric Research Program, something like that, isn't it? Causing El Niños and stuff. Anyway, so she starts shooting at it for some reason. He's trapped in the truck, isn't he? That's why it's getting it, because he's in there. Is Kevin, Brian. Kevin's a brother. He's Kevin Dillon. Oh, I'm so confused. To paraphrase Mystery Science Theatre 3000, toy truck. I haven't seen that one. Or I might have done, but I don't remember. I love Mystery Science Theatre. It's cool. But I'm I forgot his name now. I'm a Mike Nelson person. I was never, a huge fan of the fella that originated it. I forgot his name now. Is it Josh? That name again. It's not Josh, is it? I'm never a huge fan of him. But I'm a Mike Nelson fan. Anyway, whatever. Right. So they get away from it. It's all over the snow machine. That's the bit with the actual snow in it. So I think they're going to do something with that in a minute. It's blowing up for some reason. Don't know why. There you go. The snow machine's blown up. Joel, yeah, Joel, somebody or other. That's it, yeah. That's who he is. From Mystery Science Theatre, Joel. It'll come to me. But it's here we go. Here we go. Joel was superior to Mike, but Mike was fine. I like Mike. I like Mike Nelson, and I liked the voice of Crow during the Mike Nelson times. I thought it was a bit screechy, whiny when Joel were in charge. But as I said, they were the original, weren't they? So that's it. I came to it late. When it used to air on the Sci-Fi Channel. You remember when it was the Sci-Fi Channel? When we started getting cable over here, which wasn't until about 1996 or something like that. We started getting cable, and we started getting the Sci-Fi Channel, the British version. But they started showing Mystery Science Theatre 3000, and they started with the Mike Nelson one. So that's why I like Mike Nelson more. Deadly Mantis and Prince of Space and stuff like that. I love me Mystery Science Theatre. Anyway, the snow machine's blown up, and somehow blowing that up freezes the blob. Don't ask me how, it just does. So it starts snowing in the town now. They've been waiting for snow, but there it is. It's all frozen looking. It's turned to crystals. So it's all inert. Is it dead? Well, no, it isn't. We find out that it's not later. But it's snowing, and the blob is now crystals. So they've got to scoop it up and get it somewhere cold before it thaws out. Remember in the original, they collected it and dropped it at the North Pole or something, didn't they? Hoping that climate change wouldn't catch up to it. But here they've got to get it into a freezer quick. But that's the end of that part. The town is saved. The town of Arborville is saved, and then there's some sort of passage of time. By the way, I can't remember what happened to the Reverend Meeker, because we see him here now, and he's got all burnt on his face. So I must have missed it. Something must have happened to him, and I must have missed it. Probably when there were, all the chaos happening in town. He must have been injured by the blob, but I missed it. So we see he's in a tent. He's obviously a travelling preacher in a hellfire and brimstone sort of sermon with his blacked out eye. But anyway, we're still on about Mystery Science Theatre here. Used to watch my senior year with my mum when she'd get home from nursing school and her rounds. It's great stuff. What a flamethrower. Oh, right. See, I missed that bit. Hey. Right. Oh, yeah, well, it went, yes, I remember now. Yes, because we actually saw it, didn't we? It were on the screen. We saw him there getting burned. Yes. What am I like? Anyway, whatever. So he's there. They're giving his hellfire sermon, and then time to come in, blah, blah, blah. Now it's time for a song. Din. Knees up, Mother Brown. While he goes in the back to have a look at his little keepsake of his time in Arborville. There we see his face all burned. I think she's asking, so I can't still remember. She's asking him something like, "Are the end times coming, Father?" I can't still remember, but he's something along those lines. And he says, "Oh yes, sooner than you think," or whatever. And then he lifts up a big false hand. Look at it, the big false hand with a bit of a blob inside, moving about. There it is. Oh, I forgot to mention the other CG. Yes, Blob is in his holy temple. Oh dear. Nice Poltergeist 2 reference there. Another film I like. Not as good as the original, but it's decent. What we're going to say? Oh, I forgot to mention back when we saw it all frozen. That was some more CG in there, like little sparkles that we saw. They were CG. CG were in its infancy in 1988. Ooh. But that's when we saw some CG. Anyway, so he's got his big false hand and his wrong bloody thing. Got a big false hand with his little blob moving about. I don't know what he's going to do with it. Maybe he's going to set it loose at some point. Don't know. A lot of crossover back in the late 70s and 80s. Yeah. So that's the end, basically. And come on. Yeah, he's just looking at that, saying it's look at me cool bit of blob. Then we're listening to here we go, that's the cast. And then we're listening to Alien singing their song, which I forgot. But it's cool, it's a cool rock song. Yeah, I'll unmute it and just have a quick listen. You ready? Bit of 80s rock. There we go. Din 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 din. But that's the end of it. Wingrace says, based on the trend, I'm surprised they didn't spin this off into a Saturday morning cartoon. Well, yeah. Well, we could get what they call it, Slime, couldn't you? But that were when I were a kid, so you could get that in like the late 70s. You could get like pink slime that had worms in it. They were called worms, little rubber worms in. That were all the rage at one point, wasn't it? Yeah. But that it was left open, and Frank Darabont says he's going to put on his gravestone that no, he didn't put that ending on, so there'd be a sequel. He wasn't setting up a sequel for the Blob, but they were going to do another remake apparently, not long ago, but it got postponed because of COVID, and now there's like rights issues. So there's supposed to be another remake happening at some point. Anyway, Joshua says, I'd say his plan is to gather a following, then release the Blob to destroy the world. Maybe even start a little Lovecraftian cults around the country, each with their own Blob. Yeah, they could do that, couldn't they? Could like feed it mice or stuff or whatever. Just have it grow a little bit, and then break a bit off. Have loads of jars of blobs. That'd be a good idea. But speaking of Rob Zombie, he was asked to do the Blob remake, and he said no, because he even did storyboards and stuff. Not storyboards, concept art of a blonde woman with a machine gun shooting the Blob, which were obviously going to be Sherry Moon Zombie, whatever the hell they call her. But that didn't happen, thank God, because it'd have been rubbish. Anyway, pressed wrong button. I took myself out, some stupid. Where were we? Yeah, so there were going to be a remake of the remake of the Blob, but that's not happening now apparently. So, but anyway, it's a good film. I enjoy that. I enjoy that more than the '58 version. Steve McQueen's fine and all that, but I do like this one. It's fun. It's a good fun film, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. An hour and 30 odd minutes. Just over an hour and a half, so it doesn't overstay its welcome. We'll probably get a Jordan Peele Blob within 5 years. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. It'll all be the white man's fault. Because everything's our fault. Oh, wow. I'd say Rob might have done a decent job with the Blob, but I'm glad it's a no. Yeah, if we're going to do... it wasn't going to be just like, the Blob again. If we're going to do his own spin. And it would like... the Blob, instead of just being a blob going around consuming people, it was like turning people into blobs, and they were going around doing all the killing. I don't know. And they're like a big blob monolith. It's in that in the description. It says in that making of thing. Agreed on this being more entertaining than the original, and please no Peele, overrated. Yeah, I agree, is overrated is Jordan Peele. I thought Us were rubbish. I thought is it Get Out? I thought that was way overrated. Anyway, did you decide an Interstellar or something shorter? I think I'm going to do Interstellar. I haven't made up my mind yet. They're sticking out. I haven't made up my mind yet, really. It'll probably be Interstellar. I will probably skip over lots of it. But anyway, I haven't really decided, to be honest. There's plenty of time. I know there isn't, is there? It's bloody Friday now, isn't it? Well, only got to Monday to decide. Oh, no. Anyway. I never saw it. I was really disappointed with this Twilight Zone. I never saw it, so I don't know. I don't know. But I've heard, it had the messages. Considering I have liked all of the iterations. I never really saw a lot of the, the 80s and 90s Twilight Zones. I never really saw a lot of them. I'm more of an Outer Limits person anyway. I love the original Outer Limits, more so than the Twilight Zone. But I did like the Twilight Zone. Anyway, right. So we'll leave it there. So there you go. There was the Blob. A lot of fun. It's always nice to see Shawnee Smith. She's gorgeous. And nice to see Kevin Dillon, not to be confused with Matt Dillon. Maybe they're the same person. I don't know. Want Matt Dillon a cowboy? Love Outer Limits too. Yeah, Outer Limits is cool. By the way, you can see a lot of them on Outer Limits. You see a lot of them on YouTube. But for some reason, I've been coming along. They've been in my recommendations, like full episodes of the Outer Limits. So I've been watching them. Quaint little show called Fear Itself from around 2013. I've never heard of that one. Tales from the Dark Side. I never saw that either, which I've heard is good. Hey. Never mind, it was 2008. Whatever. What's 5 years between friends? Right, I'm going to go now. Going to go now because I've got a numb bum and I've got lager to drink. I'm going to have another sip before I go. And I'm sweating in this bloody jacket. I never saw Alfred Hitchcock Presents either. I've missed out on a lot of stuff, really, to be completely honest. Anyway, when I was younger, if it wasn't Star Trek, I'm really not interested. Or Valley of the Dinosaurs. I used to love that when I was a kid, that cartoon. Anyway, right, I'm going to go now. So, thanks, Windgrace, for joining in. Thanks, Joshua. Glad you had a nice holiday. I think that's all we've had, isn't it, tonight? And thanks to, I forgot your name, on Rumble. Thanks, Buddy Wiser, for your addition. Yes, you take care. Yes, have a great weekend. Oh, yes, I'm back. Yes. Oh, I left, didn't I? For a week. I only had a week off, and I was getting itchy feet again. But I was a bit down for a while. I don't know why. I was just fed up. And so I just thought some time off. I'm a Twitch watcher, yes. Yeah, so that Archmage Frey bloke. Yeah, don't forget him. Yeah, so thanks for all joining in. And I'll see you on whenever. Sunday night. It'll be me, Sunday night for me, Sunday afternoon for you people in America land. For my news roundup, and then Monday for Appointment with Fear. Monday Moan, which I think is going to be Interstellar, unless I find something else. I might surprise you. Right, so thanks for watching, wherever you are. Look after each other. Where is it? There it is. Look after each other. And until next time, I'll see thee.